The Couple Next Door, written by Peg Lynch and starring Peg Lynch and Ethel Bunce.
In bed all morning?
No. I'm getting up. Just lying here thinking what a beautiful morning it is.
It won't be such a beautiful morning if you're late to work. Come on now, Aunt Effie just went downstairs to get breakfast.
That's a pretty dress.
Mm-hmm. Just the house dress.
No, it looks nice. You know, in case I never mentioned it before, I want to say that I'm glad you're not one of these wives who come down to breakfast in a sloppy old bathrobe with your hair a mess. You know, you always look pretty in the morning.
Oh, thank you, dear. You're in a good mood this morning.
How can anybody be in a bad mood? Now, I ask you, is there anything nicer than a spring morning with the sunlight pouring in and the dew still on the grass? Did you hear the doves this morning?
Oh, yes, there was one on a branch just outside the window.
And what is so rare as a day in June? Then if ever come perfect days, then heaven tries the earth if it be in tune, and over it softly her warm ear lays. What's next?
I don't remember, dear.
Yeah, funny how you learn certain things like that in school and you never forget them. I always liked poetry anyhow, especially Browning.
Wasn't Browning, though. Oh, where's my lipstick? I think Betsy got into everything yesterday. Powder, lipstick.
What do you mean it wasn't Browning?
That poem. What is so rare as a day in June? That isn't Browning, dear.
Robert Browning.
No, I don't think so. What you're thinking of is God's in his heaven, all's right with the world. That's from Pippa Passes by Browning. That's what you're thinking of.
Charlie, that is not what I'm thinking of at all. I know what I'm thinking of. What is so rare as a day in June?
Well, it's not by Robert Browning.
All right, then who is it?
Well, I don't know who it is. I know who it isn't, and it isn't Browning.
Robert
Probably
Browning.
Wordsworth.
Oh, Wordsworth. You're thinking of that daffodils one, you know. I wandered lonely as a cloud.
No, I'm not thinking of daffodils.
Have you seen the kitchen? Come down here.
Oh, now what? What's the matter, Aunt Effie?
You should see the kitchen. Come down here quick.
Oh, I should have known this beautiful day was too good to be true. Go see what's wrong.
Remember the terrible forest fires that threatened whole communities along the Pacific coast last year? Or have you been in the vicinity of Bar Harbor, Maine, and seen miles and miles of beautiful forest land ruined by fire some years ago? Fires that destroy valuable timberland, wipe out whole towns, and endanger lives must be avoided. And it is possible, because 9 out of every 10 forest fires are man-made, made, that is, through man's carelessness. A match tossed away when it's not quite out, a lighted cigarette butt flicked out the window of a passing car, the smoldering ashes of a campfire left to burn itself out. These can and do cause costly conflagrations. Summer and early fall are forest fire times, not so much so because trees and underbrush are affected by the intense heat, but because more people are using the woods for hikes, picnicking, and camping, and more people are driving near or through wooded areas. This summer and all year long, make it a habit to be careful with fire whenever you're in or near the woods.
Well, I didn't notice them when I first came down to start breakfast. Then suddenly I saw one on the counter, then another, and then I looked down at the floor, and here was this whole army of them practically just marching in from the back entry.
Oh, honestly, this is terrible. Really, I just... Dear?
Yes, I'm coming. Well, what is the matter?
Come here and look. I suppose it's the maple syrup that attracted them.
What is the maple syrup? That's what I said last night. I said if the back entry and those steps weren't just scrubbed, that this is exactly what would happen.
Yeah, okay,
I know. Well,
what is all the hullabaloo about?
Well, just take a look at the kitchen.
Oh, I don't see anything.
Well, look at the floor. Look over there and here and here and here. Ants.
Oh, my God.
Yes, just dozens of them, hundreds in the back entry.
Said you scrubbed that back entry well last night, and the steps.
I did.
You wouldn't let me do it. You said it would take real elbow grease.
Look, I scrubbed until my arms ached. It's a job trying to clean up sticky maple syrup, and the whole place was covered with it.
Well, you must have trailed some into the kitchen here on your shoes. That's probably why the ants marched in here.
What's the matter?
Oh, my dear, we have thousands of ants coming into the house from the back entry.
Why?
Because they like the maple syrup your father thought was varnish last night.
Honestly, I still don't see how you could have mistaken the maple syrup can for the varnish.
They were just alike.
Except that one said varnish.
Well, I didn't see that. When you told me what kind of a can the varnish was in, and I went into the basement storeroom, and that's the can I saw. I assumed it was varnish.
Well, how anyone with a grain of sense...
I did not know that Mr. Dibble had given us a large can of maple syrup.
Well, I told you, dear, months ago.
And it did not say maple syrup.
Well, I should have thought when you started to varnish the back entry and the steps, you would have noticed that something was funny.
Well, I thought the varnish was old. I told you that. I didn't want to take time to buy any new stuff. I wanted to get it varnished and over
I should
with.
think
Look,
really
we went over all this last night, and I don't want to discuss it anymore. I spent 2 hours scrubbing it off.
Well, you certainly didn't get it all off. The syrup must have seeped into the cracks or something.
Well, I can't help that. Heaven knows I worked at it until I was blue in the face.
Do ants like maple syrup?
Do they like it? Look, they're having a Thanksgiving Day feast.
How did the ants know it was there? Did they smell it?
Well, I don't know, dear. Well, we'll have to do something, that's
Can
all.
ants smell?
We'll have to go down to the store today and get some poison to put around, I suppose.
Poison? I can't put poison around
What?
with a baby, Aunt Effie, to say nothing of the cat and the dog.
Can ants smell, Daddy?
You don't have to put that kind of poison around. They must have something on the market that's harmless to children and animals, but poisonous to ants.
Well, I certainly hate to take a chance. Bobby is into everything.
Can ants smell, Daddy?
Now, the first thing we better do is scrub this kitchen floor before we track any more around. It's sticky all over in little spots.
Daddy?
Why don't you answer the child?
What, dear? What is it? What is
Can
it?
ants smell?
Can ants smell? I don't know. Yeah, no, I don't know. I guess so.
Do ants have noses?
I suppose so.
Why are you so cross?
Well,
She's just asking a question.
well, how in Sam Hill do I know whether ants have noses or not?
Well, you're always telling Betsy that when a person doesn't know something, he should go and look it up.
Oh, look, will you? It is late. I still have to shower, get dressed. I got to have breakfast. I got to get to work. I have a back entry and 4 steps alive with ravenous insects. I do not have time to dig out the encyclopedia to see whether ants have noses or not.
Betsy, you go upstairs and finish getting dressed. We'll have breakfast ready by that time. We'll eat in the dining room this morning. Come on, run along.
Now, I hate to tell you this, but the ants are also in the bread box.
That's impossible.
Well, look for yourself.
How could they get in there?
Where there's a will, there's a way, as far as ants are concerned. And I'll tell you something else. Once you get ants in the house, you will always have them.
Honestly, a brand new house. You mean we're in for a lifetime of ants?
Mm-hmm.
Look, that is ridiculous. There must be dozens of different kinds of ant killers.
Well, I can't put poison around with Bobby. That's all.
Well, what we'll have to do is get an exterminator.
An exterminator?
Yes, an exterminator.
Yes.
Well, we will certainly do no such thing.
I should think not.
What's the matter with you two?
Well, I am certainly not having any exterminator.
Why?
I'm just not, that's all.
I don't blame you.
Well, what's the matter with you?
Well, how does it look?
How does what look?
Oh, you know perfectly well, don't say.
No, I don't know perfectly well at all.
Well, you know what I mean, Aunt Effie.
Yes, I should say I do.
Well, I don't. I would like to be enlightened, if you don't mind. What is...
Why, what if anybody found out that we'd had an exterminator? That'd be so embarrassing.
Embarrassing? Why?
Oh, really, dear.
Yes, why?
Well,
Why?
because
Now,
it would
come on.
look as though she's a terrible housekeeper.
Well, this beats me. I don't know what the heck is the matter
People
with me.
might not think we just had ants. We don't be so thick. They would think that we had, well, that maybe we had...
No, I don't know.
Some other kind of bugs come with keeping a dirty house.
Oh, for Pete's
Well, I'm not
sakes.
going to have an exterminator.
This
that's
is without
final.
doubt the most idiotic. To begin with, how would anybody know that we'd had an exterminator unless you tell everybody?
You think I'm going to have a truck sitting out there in our driveway that says exterminating company, we kill everything, or something like that?
Oh, for the love of Mike.
You run along and get dressed, Aunt Effie and I'll get breakfast. And after you and Betsy are gone, we will get to work scrubbing.
Yes, we'll scrub thoroughly with everything we can think of. Maybe you ought to drive down to a drugstore and ask if they know of anything that would help.
Well, gee, I hate to ask.
Well,
A man might not even believe me when I tell him it's just for ants.
Well, why don't you buy something else and then just casually ask if he has anything for getting rid of ants? Don't say you want them. Just say you have a friend who has them.
You may wonder what kind of friends I have.
Honestly, you two. Will you tell me what is disgraceful about having ants?
Well,
I mean, we live practically in the country with woods all around.
Will you go and get dressed, dear? Just go and get dressed, please, now. Come
Look,
on. Aunt Effie and I will do what we can.
I am calling an exterminator, you hear me, whether you like it or not.
Oh,
I mean, the way that maple syrup has seeped into the cracks, the only way to handle this is to call an exterminator, and it better be done today.
We'll return to the couple next door in just a moment. For most of us, the weekend is a time of relaxation, a welcome break in the work week, the time to be a family. But the course of world events doesn't break from Friday night to Monday morning. Important happenings don't take the weekend off. Nor does CBS News relax in its efforts to bring the very latest news to you the moment it happens. All weekend long, the central bureaus of CBS News continue to bustle, assembling and editing features and reports from all around the world. News gathering is a vast, complex operation, a vitally important one. What you hear when you're listening to a CBS News report is a concise distillation of up-to-the-minute facts, local, national, global. Weekends, too. Hear the very latest news on this CBS radio station. Oh, and a special note. Tomorrow, consult your local listings to hear the running of horse racing's famed Belmont Stakes from Belmont Park, Long Island. Exclusive radio coverage via CBS Radio.
He's here.
Oh, no.
Yes, they're talking in the kitchen.
Oh, dear, what does he look like?
Well, you wouldn't know he was an exterminator at all. He's nicely dressed, dark blue suit, white shirt. Looks more like an ambassador.
Yeah, come on in, Mr. Sykes. I think my wife would like to hear what you just told me. Oh, dear, this is Mr. Sykes, my wife.
How do you do?
How do you do, Mrs. Piper?
Well, we've never had ants before, really. Maybe one or two, you know.
Well,
but
now,
never.
it's our business to see that you don't have them anymore. And as I told Mr. Piper, the truck that is used for the removal of the intruders, shall we say, is a plain van. There are no signs on it, no identification, so you are protected in every way. I can assure you we are most discreet.
Oh, well, that's good. We've never had exterminators before, and
we don't use the word exterminators or exterminating. We prefer to call ourselves entomologist removers.
Oh, yes, I see. Well,
So, stop worrying, will you? You just trust Mr. Sykes to handle the situation.
Yes, indeed. And if I could use your phone, it's possible I can have the problem taken care of today.
The phone is out here in the hall. I'll show you.
Thank you.
Well, you feel better?
Yes, I guess so. You better get to work. You're late now.
Yeah, oh boy, what a morning. From the sublime to the ridiculous, huh? Oh, what is so rare as a day in June with the exterminators arriving at noon?
Oh, I know. I thought of it, dear. That was James Russell Lowell, The Vision of Sir Launfal.
No, Don, I'm sure it was Robert Browning.
Well, it doesn't matter. Get to work.
Oh.
Now what?
Well, car keys. What did I do with the car keys?
Oh, honestly, dear, every morning.
never
Aunt
know
Effie,
it to fail.
come
Car
on, help
keys.
look for
Mr.
his car
Sykes,
keys.
The Couple Next Door is written by Peg Lynch and stars Peg Lynch and Ethel and Bunce, with Margaret Hamilton, Francie Myers, and Leon Janney, and is produced by Walter